Hello. Yeah, it's a bit out of my natural habitat. The City of London's quite a scary place. So I'm here to talk about CyberTracker conservation, which was set up by a man called Louis Liebenberg in South Africa. I want to take you back in time, back to the African savannah. So, you know, think about 100,000 years ago, 200, 300,000 years ago. We don't really know when Homo sapiens evolved out of the kind of cradle of the world. But before we made fire, before we made tools, before we made shelter, these people were living there. And they roamed over the whole of Africa. Actually, they're the ancestors of us all, the Adam and Eve in a sense, the Bushmen. And before we did all those things, we were trackers. We would read the sand. It's our oldest cultural expression of our species, is deciphering the tracks of the sand. So you can see what these ones are. How about that one? Can you see where the footprint is? No, probably not, unless you're a really good tracker. Can you see if it's male, if it's female? Left foot, how quick is it moving? Has it got an injury? Now imagine that's in a herd of 80 other steenbok, and they've all got 4 feet, so that's 4 8s are 32, 320 feet. So they use these skills to basically support themselves. If they hadn't successfully trailed and hunted animals in this way, none of us would be here today, you know. So the history of the Bushmen is a pretty horrific history. I don't need to go into it, it's just one of slaughter and death. They've just been butchered by everyone in Africa, blacks, whites. It's just a horrific story. They were from Sahara all the way down to the Cape on the south, and now they're basically just in this one area. Well, the only place they can do their culture intact at all is in the Nai Conservancy in Namibia, which is where we work. Now, how many are there left who still have these master tracking skills? 15. They've been doing it for 200,000-300,000 years. 15. Imagine if there were 15 rhinos left. You know, like the international community would they'd go mad. So they are holding on to this culture, you know, really by their fingertips, and I mean by their fingertips. In a few years, in 3 years probably, Louis worked out there with them since 1985. There will be none left in 3 to 5 years. The youngest one we work with is called David, and he's 54, and he's the youngest. That's problem number one. Problem number two is there's no work at all, basically, in the Kalahari, and there's hunger in the bellies of the people there, and poverty. So, and another problem, this might sound slightly unrelated, but I'll come back to it. Monitoring biodiversity is critical for. Is this doing your head in the way? I'm sliding all the time. It's critical for like effective conservation management. You know, most of these wildlife surveys are done by air, so you can tell how many elephants are there by air, but you can't monitor pangolin by air. You have to be on the ground. You have to know what pangolin tracks look like to monitor them. They come out at night. So having locally based monitoring of an ecosystem with an empowered indigenous community who are actually invested in looking after their own resources, that's just like a proven thing to work. Anyway, so you've got these 3 problems, okay? Disappearing cultural skills, poverty, hunger, and this monitoring environmental issue, okay? So short term, what we do is we take groups out there, come along, it's very good fun. 3 of us in the room have been there. It's an amazing thing to do, and we basically pay the trackers and the women to take us tracking, take us bow hunting, show us how to make crafts, show us how to make necklaces out of ostrich shells. So we incentivize them to keep some of these skills alive because we pay them, okay? But that's short term. I don't really like flying, so it's not a great long-term solution. The medium and long-term solution is they've got this amazing marketable skill, which is actually got value in the modern world, right? They're expert trackers. They're amazing at monitoring wildlife. So, can't quite work out which way I'm going. So, these three elders, this is Louis, they're certified with a CyberTracker certificate. Okay, so once they've got this, they're basically qualified to work in the Wildlife Service Department, safari lodges, national parks, and there's already a tracker association that we've set up to find them employment. But the key thing is, now the younger generation are engaging with it all. You understand? Because otherwise it's just going to go. It's just going to go in 3 to 5 years. So I feel like this is a bit of a crossroads moment, you know. If you could save Michelangelo's David or the Bayer Tapestry, you know, would you? And it's like, this is our oldest cultural expression of our species. So I don't normally do this kind of thing, and I'll just leave you with the fact that when I went to Africa, I was just so enrolled in this whole thing. I just couldn't believe it that I just worked voluntarily for them days every week just to kind of help it out, because it really is an amazing project. And if you want to know more about the budget, you can ask me in the questions. So that's that. Oh, by the way, this is 10 seconds. This is a model that can be rolled out to indigenous communities worldwide. You know, we've already been doing this in the Amazon and with the Aborigines and all over. So, okay, you haven't done me. That's really nice.
Let's let you finish.
All right, thank you.
I want to ask the first question, and I'm asking it for Paul. So we just want to check, can you track teenagers when they go out at night? Is that something that you can advise us on?
Yeah, they've got a GPS thing on their phones.